Hi everybody, Christmas is coming up and we have a sale going on, 20% off SkarBassOne, including free international express shipping. There are a few codes out there and I also linked down to the Music Radar article where you'll find a code. First, I want to tell you a brief story about SkarBassOne and how it came about. So I worked as a music producer for many years and a lot of my clients really liked the bass tone I was creating in the studio. And one time, maybe back in 2015, 16, I can't remember exactly, one of my clients said to me, how can I achieve this tone live? And I was like, well, I'll try to help you out. I also want this in a live setting. So I scavenged the internet for parts or third-party products just to assemble something that was close to what I did in the studio. And after a lot of searching, I was always missing some key parts to get this chain going. So I needed to call him up and say, yo, I'm sorry, I tried, but it's simply not possible, at least as far as I can see. And I thought about this for a minute and like, maybe I can make it. And I called him back up and I said, yo, I can try to make this for you. I also want this, so I'll try to make two pedals, then you can get one of them and I'll take the other one. I had a clear idea on how to make this and what I needed to make it. So what I did was that I called up a friend of mine, Ingemund, and we started to mess with some circuits. And after a while, we came up with something that was supposed to work, at least as far as the signal chain goes. And this is the first one, believe it or not. It's actually my lunchbox from when I was working in the studio. It was my wife's favorite box, and today it's my favorite box, obviously. And you can see this wire just hanging out here. It has a few more functions, and there is like, well, a mess inside here. But the thing is, the first time I plugged in the bass guitar and plugged the output of the lunchbox straight into an amplifier, and when I hit that first note, I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I started to use this lunchbox on live shows and I got a lot of good comments about the bass tone. And the more I thought about this pedal or lunchbox, it became obvious to me that this wasn't made for just one simple setup here in Norway. So me and some close friends of mine scraped together some money to start the development of SkarBassOne. The initial idea was never to have a company or anything, but since the development of especially hardware is very expensive, it made sense to register a company. Fast forward, I needed an engineer that could take this lunchbox and make it fit inside a stomp box enclosure. So I was lucky enough to meet Magnus, the head engineer, and he started to redraw the circuits. After a good while, we came up with this SkarBassOne. There we are. This is actually the P1. So this is the very first prototype. And also Andreas, the designer, he works for Lego. Great designer. I think he made a really good design for the pedal. But we also tried to make a white print one, since the silk print needs 3 layers for 3 colors. But I'm pretty happy that we ended up with this color set. And now we needed to figure out if anybody liked this pedal at all. So we went to London Bass Guitar Show with the only working unit we had, and I was really hoping that it would work for the entire weekend. Luckily it did, and we got a lot of good response in London, so we thought we need to go a step further and create the first batch of these pedals. The first batch were hand wired and they were sold out before we even finished making them. The next step was the industrialization of this pedal, and you know what? I'm not a mechanical engineer, but that was one of the steps that caught me off guard. We needed to make it a bit wider to industrialize the pedal. So this is one of the first enclosures that we tried to fit the board inside. It needed some tweaks, but finally we got it working. So there you go. That's the story behind SkarBassOne and Trondheim audio devices so far. And remember to read the Music Radar article to get your 20% discount code.